bat. But what I love too is they didn't waste time because we've seen so many vampire movies. I didn't have to have the old man come in and we have to spend 20 minutes explaining who the vampires are, why they're there, what their agenda is, finding some old ancient book that's going to show us some. He gets rid of all of that. That is not important to this story. We all know what vampires are.
You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit.
So, Steve, one of the most sort of highly praised films of the year so far, and there haven't been that many, is Ryan Coogler's gangster horror period mashup movie Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan as a pair of 1930s gangsters who return to the Deep South, and all kinds of trouble is encountered. So we both had the chance to see this movie. It's getting sort of rave reviews all over the place. What did you think?
You know, James, I just saw it this week, and because of the rave reviews, I was really trying to not put my expectations too high because I was fearful. I think, oh, this is going to be the best movie of 2025, and I'm going to come out and I'm going to have my expectations dashed. And I can happily say that my expectations were met. I loved this movie. I wish I didn't know about the big surprise. My brother said this similar. When my brother saw it, I wish I didn't know what was coming because I just love that a third of the way into this film, it goes batshit crazy vampire movie. And it's like, yes, man, we are in the South. We are in this black community. And that's what I loved about it because we've seen so many vampire movies over the years. We've got kind of a fresh setting with a fresh group of people with a demographic that's completely different. With the way Ryan Coogler just intertwines black spirituals, the blues, music, that whole Southern cuisine is just wrapped up and then turned into a vampire film that's addressing issues while we're watching traditional fight. And this is one of the things I think I'm going to spew a whole bunch of things I loved about this movie right off the bat. But what I love too is they didn't waste time because we've seen so many vampire movies. I didn't have to have the old man come in and we have to spend 20 minutes explaining who the vampires are, why they're there, what their agenda is, finding some old ancient book that's going to show us some. He gets rid of all of that. That is not important to this story. We all know what vampires are. When they start realizing that they're fighting vampires, they get the garlic out. They everybody knows how to fight a vampire, you know?
Yeah.
And they don't explain it. There's no exposition. Well, vampires, sunlight, garlic, none of that. Coogler has other things he wants to address in this film, other focuses he wants to focus on, and he does it brilliantly.
Yeah, no, you couldn't have said it better. And what I was so pleasantly surprised by with this movie are those other things.
Mm-hmm.
This is a gangster movie. This is a vampire movie. This is Deep South. This is talking about racial tensions in the Jim Crow era and all of those kind of stuff. But this is as much about music as it is about anything else. It's about the importance of culture being sustained through art from one generation to the next, from one culture to another, how it can be sort of be adopted by another one, how it can be supported by another one, how it can be usurped and actually kind of overtaken by other cultures, but how that core sort of sense of self, sense of identity lives on from one generation to another generation. In music. There is one sequence in particular where it quite literally shows where the music came from, where it is now, and where it's going in the future. And for a minute, you're like, wait, what the hell is happening? And then you're like, oh my God, this is genius. This is so good. This is such a ballsy moment in a movie that is very rigidly 1936 Mississippi. Yeah. And you've suddenly got all these hip hop artists, and you've got DJs playing, and then you've got sort of tribal music coming in, and all of these other things sort of folding in and out of themselves in one incredibly sort of hypnotic, kaleidoscopic, psychedelic sequence. And you're like, this is telling me exactly what I need to know about what you're trying to say about the importance of identity and how music can be a vehicle for identity and for culture and for emotion and all of these things. And I just thought that those things were
Yeah.
what elevates the material and what was so
Yeah.
most surprising about it.
Yeah, Coogler is saying, hey, long before Elvis Presley, this
Yeah.
is where this music really started. It comes from black spirituals by an oppressed group who were enslaved. And this is the music that gave them freedom. And out of
Mm.
those black spirituals came the blues that we all love, which morphed into rock and roll. And it's basically saying this is where this was birthed, and we need to give it its due homage, its due respect, and then to turn it into a vampire movie. It sounds like it would be ludicrous,
Mm.
and yet somehow in Coogler's deft hands, it works.
Yeah, I mean, he uses vampirism as sort of the homogenizing threat of sort of commercial mainstream sort of
Yeah.
culture. You know, it's the vampire. The way he presents sort of the vampire lifestyle is almost something like in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You know, particularly
Yes.
the '78 version where you have Leonard Nimoy sort of say, you know, it doesn't hurt. It's great. It's actually better on the other side. Once you've been turned, it's fantastic, and we all now understand each other. We all now share each other's culture, share each other's thought. So you know, and this it feels like they're that like the demonic record label kind of coming in, kind of
Yeah.
coming in and saying, no, we get it, we get your vision, and what we're going to do is we're going to make your vision package it for the world to understand. It's like, no, that's the most terrifying thing possible. No, but you'll find fame and fortune and other. It's like, yeah, but you'll be distorting it beyond recognition, and you'll be diluting it and codifying it and ultimately destroying it. You know, taking what it means to us and flattening it into something that means nothing to everybody. You know, kind of thing. And he does that through vampirism, and I just thought, oh my god, that's genius.
Yeah, and the original three, or I should say, there's the original one, and then the guy kills the couple. So there's kind of the
Yeah,
three and there couldn't be anything more white bread than these three white people trying to get into the. And it's not that the music they're playing was that horrible. In fact, the one guy was, that's not too bad, but you're right. There is a homogenized culture that is just come. We all like McDonald's here. We
yeah,
all like fast food. You don't want a gourmet burger. You want the strife that comes from and that's it's juxtaposed what's going on inside the jukebox. Is it jukebox or
the juke joint. Yeah,
the juke joint? Thanks. The juke joint is primal. Like
yeah,
there's sex going
it's
on, there's
raw. Yeah,
dancing, it's sweaty, there's music, people are drinking. This is like humanity at its most primal, its most expressing itself individually and relationally with one another. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but it's human. Like everything here is human. And outside is just these smiles, and it's like the Stepford Wives, and it's
yeah.
like come be part of this. And I just there's such tension woven into scenes, James, of just are they going to invite this guy in or not invite this guy in? And again, there's no exposition to say, vampires have to be invited in.
Right,
We all know
right.
vampires
That's
have
what I
to be
really
invited
appreciated.
in.
There's no
Yeah.
explaining of any of this.
No, it's
We all know.
just, and then they'll have somebody who is so whether it's the husband or the brother. Come on, just let me in. You know me. Come on. Yeah, is he going to let him? Nobody say he's invited in,
Right.
And so, anyhow, there's moments of tension. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I would say this is definitely at this time of the year, this is my favorite film of 2025.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, no, it's right up there for me, without a doubt. I've
Yeah,
been lucky that I've seen it twice now. And the second time, as is often the case actually with a good movie, it's the second time where all the little pieces kind of can fall into place where I'm not just like there trying to process everything in real time as it's happening. You know, I know what it's about now, and I can sort of sit down and really appreciate the minutiae and everything. And it just works so well on so many levels in so many
yeah,
ways. It's about so many different things. You know, for something that is a mainstream genre movie. It is a gangster movie, it is a horror movie.
Yeah.
That the fact that it's even allowed to be all of these other things as well,
Hmm.
and not only to mention them. I mean, we were talking about the re-release of Dogma earlier on, the
Yeah.
old Kevin Smith movie, and that was a sort of mainstream movie that touches on controversial topics, but it doesn't really do so effectively. It doesn't sort of develop its arguments particularly well. Here, not only is it able to touch on these notions of sort of the homogenizing of different cultures into repackaging everything
Yeah.
as something mainstream to be easily digested by whatever, and sort of hijacking cultures, cultural appropriation at its most visceral, if you
Yeah.
like. But it succeeds in doing those things,
Mhm.
while at the same time remaining, I suppose, within the lines of a sort of traditional genre movie. I mean, because this succeeds as a movie about gangsters ripping off other gangsters and fleeing town. It succeeds as a vampire movie, just about the siege of
Yeah.
a bar by
Yeah.
invading forces. It succeeds as a movie about racial tension in the Deep South in the 1930s. It's not just that it touches on them, but it works as well.
Yeah. It didn't have Salma Hayek doing a snake dance, but
No, but it did have, what's the name, Jamie Lawson as Pearline doing something not
yeah, oh,
wholly
yeah.
dissimilar. Because
Yeah.
yes, we need to address the vampire in the
But
room,
in the
which
room.
is which is that, yes, structurally it does bear a lot of similarities to From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Even if that is content just to say, hey, it's a vampire movie,
Yeah.
rather than explore anything more
Yeah.
detailed
Yeah.
than that.
I think by this movie stands on its own legs. And what did you think about the ending? I did not see that ending coming. In fact, I was almost starting to get a little disappointed with the ending, the way it was going, and I was like, "Oh, please don't ruin this," because I've been enjoying it so much.
Mm,
And then they kind of do the whole thing where Sammy he's the only survivor that we see, goes back to his church, turns his back on dad and I guess presumably God,
hmm
and then goes and forges his life as a musician. And then obviously he's an old man still playing the blues in little bars across America. And who pops in but Michael B. Jordan and sister, and they've been alive all this time. And just explaining the reason he let him live was his brother made him promise, "I let Sammy go," and he
Yeah.
honored the promise. And of course, there's a few moments of you have to suspend disbelief. Like we're never given for one moment that these vampires would honor any promises or do anything. They looked pretty savage. But leaving that aside, I thought the ending kind of worked for me because it showed him as an older man. He'd lived his whole life. He got to do what he enjoyed doing. He created his own spirituality through his music. I don't think and for somebody who's a man of faith myself, there's different ways I've learned. There's certain places in the church and in certain structures that tell you in order to have a relationship with God, it has to be through this channel. And they're very
Mm.
good at being the gatekeepers of how a relationship with God and the spiritual and the divine is meant to be. And I was leaving, I mean, all movies are interpretation. And again, being a man of faith, my interpretation is Sammy, he didn't turn his back on God. He turned his back on the expression of God he got from his father in that church. And he developed his own relationship with the divine through the music he brought to himself and brought to others. And that filled me with a lot of joy. The whole ending with the brother and the sister kind of worked for me because I just love the whole thing of, yeah, we're going to let you live. I made a promise. And then just putting the glasses on and walking out.
Yeah,
Good.
no, I loved. I mean, you talk about church being the gatekeeper, but of course, often in these stories, you to have to talk about music as a dangerous gift, you know,
Yeah.
and you can use it for good. You can join the gospel choir, you can play the organ, you can sing, in church, Or, it's the devil's music, and you can go down the
Led
other
Zeppelin,
path.
man. Led Zeppelin,
Well, arguably, this is what his father's saying to him. He's like, you got to be careful with this guitar, and if you're going to go down with the Smokestack twins down to the juke joint, you're going to be using your gift in the wrong way. You're going to be using it for evil, kind of thing. And I liked how the film is about that as well, and it's about how the power of music can be used for good. It can be used for evil, and how somehow Sammy Preacher Boy. I like the fact that his name is, his nickname is Preacher Boy, which obviously he said he got from his father, but it gives that kind of the weight of his upbringing. It's going to be it's going to be on him, just as the scars on his face from his ordeal that night are going to be. And so, when you see him played by Buddy Guy at the end of the movie, this is a lifetime of balancing that. He's clearly made a career out of his artistry, but he has obviously had to alienate people at the same time doing it. He has, like, as you say, walked away probably from the church and from his family and all the rest of it, but he has found some way to profit from it and to advance his music and develop it without straying too far into the darkness as well. And and that sort of postscript at the end with it's Stack, isn't it? It's Stack, not Smoke. It's Stack. He's like the bad one, if you like. And then Haley Steinfeld's character Mary. There was because it's so. I mean, I know it's set in like 1992, but their look is so kind of dripping with 80s kind of attitude that it really immediately, so just in that moment, evokes other great 80s vampire movies like The Hunger and Near Dark, The Lost Boys, all of those movies. And then also a far more recent movie, Only Lovers Left Alive. Have you seen that? The Jim Jarmusch movie with Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston, where that's very music focused as well, because they've been together. They're vampires, but they're lovers, and because they are both immortal, they spend hundreds of years apart, and then they reconnect every now and again, and it's all set in sort of a post. First Trump term Detroit, where the city is still is. So you should see it because it's all set in Detroit.
I should.
You're a Detroit
I'm a
boy.
Detroiter. I am.
Yeah.
Anything
Okay.
from
All right.
Detroit, I like to watch.
Well, I won't tell you more about it then. Only Lovers Left Alive. You should definitely watch it. It's a bit more of an art housey kind of movie, but it's a vampire.
Jim Jarmusch. It's
Jim
going to
Jarmusch.
be. Yeah.
But it's cool.
So,
it's about
cool.
music and vampires, so that's cool.
Speaking of, I want to listen to the soundtrack of this film. I haven't really listened to it, but I really think it's going to be smoking.
Yeah, no, it's great. I have actually been listening to it a little bit. I mean, Miles Caton, who plays Sammy, is fantastic. I could not have predicted a voice like that would come out of a boy like that.
Right. Yeah.
His voice is so deep. It's so good. I have been listening to that a little bit. But the cast is stacked. I mean, obviously Michael B. Jordan is fantastic, and the dual role works incredibly. There are some little featurettes online about how they shot it and what have you, but it's crazy that we're at a point in time now where the technology is that good that you can just do that and no one really blinks, no one really thinks twice about the fact that was actually obviously really, really hard for them to do it, but the technology facilitates it. I mean, his relationship with Ryan Coogler is fantastic. They did Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther, and now this together, so they're going as strong as ever. And then you've got, Jack O'Connell, I love, who plays evil Irishman Remick, evil Irish vamp. He's great. He was in a little British.
He just oozes. He just oozes.
He's just he's a nasty guy. Yeah. He did a great British prison movie called Starred Up that came out probably about 10 years ago, and he's the lead in the Angelina Jolie directed World War II POW movie called Unbroken. But Starred Up's a really cool little vicious little British prison movie. But he's actually absolutely incredible in it. And he did another one called 71. It's all about the Troubles in Northern Ireland in 1971, where he plays like a British paratrooper who gets stuck behind enemy lines in Belfast and has to kind of get back. He's great. I love him. The whole cast is great.
One of the things I appreciate the fact that basically only Sammy survives. but there were some characters that you really grow attached to, like when Owen the bouncer gets it. Like, oh, not Owen! Don't kill.
Is that
What's
Cornbread? Is it that guy?
is it? Is it Cornbread? I thought his name was Owen. They call him Cornbread. The bouncer. Remember, they go to talk to him, and he tells them to get lost, but the wife says, "No, how much are you going to pay him?" And so he
Yeah,
ends up
yeah. I
becoming
think
the
he's
bit.
called. I thought he was called Cornbread. That guy.
I need to watch it twice. I haven't.
Yes.
Yeah, I really just watched it
But I
recently,
think
and
I think that's one thing that works so well is that all these little characters, even if they don't get much screen time, they're incredibly well sort of
yes,
developed.
when
You
they
know,
die,
they're
they're
lived
not red
in.
shirts from Star Trek. You
Exactly.
feel their death. Like you don't want them to.
I mean, yeah, it's fantastic film. It's definitely one of the films of the year so far. Yeah, as I said, I've seen it twice. I'm looking forward to just seeing it again. It's definitely something I will
Mm,
end up owning, uh,
mm.
and I'm revisiting from time to time. I think
I
it's
think I'm going to
fantastic
own it.
stuff.
I think I'm going to own it too because I've been pricing 4K DVD
Ooh,
players,
okay,
James. I think
okay,
I'm.
we'll tell you what. Let's wrap this up, and then we will talk about that.
Yeah. So, James, how many electric acoustic guitar? I don't know what they call, but we know the instrument I'm talking about.
Hmm.
How many of that guitar are you going to give Sinners?
I mean, I thought this was great. I really, really did.
Hmm.
I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and that was cemented watching it the second time. The first
Hmm.
time I was like, yeah, this is really good. It's got a lot going on. I'm not sure how much of it actually sort of really it gets locked down. Rewatching it, I was like, oh yeah, no, this is a really impressive piece of work, and I do like to make a statement with these.
Hmm.
So I was kind of going back and forth between like 4 and 5. Yeah, as you know, I don't do halves. And the first time I saw it, I gave it 4. I was like, it's not quite, But then watching it
Hmm.
again, I was like, what am I talking about? This is great.
This is yeah.
This is a movie that we should encourage people to see. It's the kind of movie that needs to be successful if the industry is going to survive. All of that kind of thing. It's great to see a genre movie with such ambition, with such vision, dare to experiment with so many ideas and land so many of them. It's great. I love it. I'm going 5.
Wow, you go in the full 5, James. I
Sure,
just
why
double
not?
checked. I was pretty sure on Letterbox. I'd given it 4.5, but like so many times when we do this, I've unpacked ideas in this film, even discussing it with you. I hadn't considered while I was watching it. Like as I'm processing it with you, and I'm thinking, crikey, what's my reason for not giving it a 5? I don't have a good reason other
Attaboy.
than my hesitation to give fives. But if this really is the best movie I've seen, and we're into May already, I'm going to give it a 5 right alongside with you. I'm going to adjust my letterbox score. We're going to go up half a point. I think this is a great movie, and at the risk of repeating myself, I'll just end it there.
Fabulous. So, what did you think? Do you love Sinners? Have you seen it? What else? What are some of the other themes that it brings up that maybe we didn't have a chance to
Yeah.
talk about? Anything else? Anything specific? Maybe about some of the musical references in there. Not as well versed in the blues as perhaps I should be. Do let us know. And if you didn't like it, let us know as well. If you didn't like Sinners, why
Hmm.
not? Always happy to hear from people on the other side of the camp.
Until next episode,
Bye
bye
bye.
bye. We'll see you at the movies.
You ought to
Don't
be
do
in
that.
pictures. You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be. You're